What's going on, YouTube? It is your boy Jose Barajas, and just dropping this video this morning. It's a glorious day once again. I'm alive. God is good, and I've done my morning workout or walk. I haven't lifted weights or anything like that, but I got my day going. Got out of bed, did my prayer, was listening to a sermon, and it hit me, man. And it's like God was telling me, like, man, I need you to talk about maturity in men. And I'm like, maturity? Like, what do you want me to say? But basically, when we're talking about being a man, we all have a different interpretation of what a man is and what is required, what are expectations. And I started asking God, like, man, God, like, how mature am I at the age that I am, right? And one thing that I'll tell you is when I've been going through this, when I started going through this transformation of kind of branching away from my identity of being Joe Barber and just growing in my own self and being who I am, there's a lot of confusion. And the reason why is because the world has been bombarding us with so much information, so many people. And I have this question, right? And I'm just going to throw it out there right now because of this. I have this clash of psychology and how it lines up in scripture, because a lot of us, they label us so many things, and I get overstimulated, overwhelmed, just like knowing that all these labels are out there, like you're this or you're that or so that's what I mean about being bombarded. There's so much information coming at you every day. And that's why I am so glad that I got put in a position to where I had to just get away from social media, because I would get all my news from TikTok, and then I would get all my entertainment from Instagram and Facebook, and then I would get distracted. And then there's temptation that comes in those forms because people fall in love, or I don't want to use the term fall in love, but people may appreciate the person that you portray to be on social media. So then because you're getting affection or you're getting approval or you're getting attention or whatever it is that's going on with you, you feel like you have to feed that part in order for you to continue to get that, that love or those likes or the whatever it is that you get. I don't know what it is that people get all the time, but I know for me, I would get validation, from my artwork. I would get validation from my haircuts. I would get conversations started. I would put, I would put up silly videos because of my, great personality that I have. But I have a lot of dad jokes and stuff like that. Like, I enjoy being funny and have a great sense of humor. But the fact is that the reality is that that's not what God wants me. Not to say I need to be a robot, but God doesn't want me to be feeding that part of me. He needs me to feed the part of me that's more serious, because it is serious when we're talking about your soul. We're talking about your spirit. We're talking about growth. We're talking about maturity. And a lot of guys that I know, they spend their money on shoes. They spend their money on cars. They spend their money on trying to impress people, the people that don't know them, people that don't love them. And that's what I'm saying, is a lot of us get caught up in that. And so God is basically telling me, like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you've experienced this, so share your story. I don't need you to talk about things that you heard. One thing that I don't like to do is regurgitate stuff, because, I read this, and then, like, I'm not going to verbatim just say something that I read. I'm going to, whatever I experience, I'm going to explain what I've experienced, and hopefully someone can relate to that and know that, wow, I do that stuff too, or I went through that stuff too. And really it's just, you have to get to a point where you're just like, man, like, there has to be more than just working, making money, partying on the weekends, and then starting the cycle all over. Celebrating birthdays, celebrating holidays, spending all this money and starting all over. Getting in debt, impressing people. Then I go through this, and then something happens to me, and then you start all over. And it's like, why would you want to stay in that cycle, is my question. And I know that the generation that we're in now, they struggle with reality because there's so many things coming at you. A lot of the kids now, their reality is more on games. Their reality is on quick money. Their reality is not on logical thinking. Their reality is not about, emotional intelligence. Their reality is not based on that. Their reality is based on the fantasy world and that exists, and it does exist because we think if I buy that Porsche, I'm gonna be happy. If I have this nice house, my life is gonna be, like, and it can be. I'm not saying I have friends that have multiple Porsches. My son has a Porsche, but it's like I'm not saying that you can't have nice stuff. But what happens is when you have anything, I don't care what it is, a house, a car, dogs, a relationship, kids, you're gonna have to maintain those things. Now, if you can pour into every individual thing that you own or that you possess or that you're responsible for, it's going to take discipline, maturity, it's going to take sacrifice, and you're not always going to make everybody happy, man. So when you get to that point where you're trying to do it on your own strength, you're going to burn out. And you could have your partner and they can help you. I've experienced that where my partner helped me financially. My partner helped me without me having to even say anything. They saw the need, they filled the need, and I was like, I appreciate that. Thank you. Because I didn't feel alone, right? But then I became very codependent on that individual. And the moment they pulled their love for me, I was devastated. Then I'm like, oh man, like how am I gonna do my thing? And in the midst of that, the beauty in that, even though there was a lot of pain, the beauty in it is that God catapulted me to say, hey, I need you to be a man. I need you to take care of your family. I need you to go do these things and organize your life, organize your thoughts, organize your emotions, organize your priorities. And he's been doing that little by little. And yeah, I lost my barbershop. I lost my barber college. I lost a lot of money because of COVID. I lost and lost and lost and lost. Then, I went through my son having cancer. Then, I'm trying to move on and get into another relationship. And then it's just like I was trying to move on in life and just enjoy life. And I'm telling you, man, I took so many hits one after another. I had no choice but to run to God because I wasn't going to run to my bank. I ran out of options. I wasn't going to run to my friends and ask for money. I wasn't going to run to like people and kind of like, oh, hey man, well, I need you to feel sorry for me and help me. And not to say that I don't have friends in my corner that'll protect me and help me. But the fact is that I had to run to God. And when you do that, God's going to elevate you. God will elevate you to a point where my dogs are... Kobe, hey, that's enough. That's enough, sir. They get all crazy. But God will elevate you to a point where you need to be in order, because what happens with us is we're not filled with God's Spirit, His Holy Spirit, or we're not filled with enough of His Word to know that we can run to Him, that He will supply us, that we can trust Him, man. And that's the thing right now that I can truly admit. The reason my partner and I are not standing on the same square is because she doesn't trust that I'm going to be able to provide stability, not financially, just stability in the relationship. She doesn't believe that I'm all the way in, that I'm going to, like I said, I've explained this in another video. It's like, if you want a God-fearing woman that's going to have your back and that's going to be all the way in, you got to remember she's like a trailer that's carrying all this responsibility, all these fragile things, all these things that are important, right? Like your family, your kids, intimacy, you're having relationship and having a partner for life, like a helper. They have all this, this like a trailer, and they're hitching onto you. They need to know that your brakes work. They need to know that that you're maintaining yourself. They need to know that you're not gonna get road rage and go off the, They need to know that. They need to feel comfortable and saying, you know what, this is a stable vehicle that I can hitch onto, and we're going to work together and we're going to get where we want to get with God's help. As long as God is guiding you, I will let you guide me. But the moment a woman sees that you're not being led by God, if you don't have those kind of morals, if you don't have those kind of qualities, then I promise you, you're always going to be in a relationship with childish women that are not going to be 100% devoted to you, that are not going to be 100% committed to you. And you're going to go through a lot of heartache, and you're never going to feel fulfilled in God's love. You'll be fulfilled with the world's love, and there's plenty to go around. I mean, if you got money right now, dude, if you're making good money, if you're a guy that's making over 100 grand a year, bro, right now, you could find an Instagram model or a good looking girl. That doesn't mean that she's not rotten on the inside. You know what I'm saying? And then if you find a godly woman, I promise you, she is not gonna put up with your nonsense. She won't. She will not. So then what happens is, what I'll explain to you is that if you're a young man, even if you're my age, I'm still maturing. I'm still asking for patience. I'm still asking for guidance. And I may have got started late in the game with the way God wanted me to live, but that doesn't mean that God will not excel me, because I've failed so many times in my life. I've experienced failure. I've experienced pain. I've experienced all this, and I've processed so much guilt in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I processed so much guilt, but God is elevating me, and he's taking me up and up and up, and he's showing me, but I have to have patience. And it's like, all right, God, I trust you. And man, I'm under so much financial stress, emotional stress. I haven't seen my son in 14, 15 days, you know, and dude, it hurts like beyond. But I try to process, and I try to take responsibility, because there are things that I did and said that led up to this point. I'm not 100% responsible for everything that's happened, but I have to own my part, and she has to own her part. And if she decided to break the covenant, if she decided to, you know, sin against God because she was upset, that's on her. You know, am I gonna have the heart to forgive her and all that? We'll have to see once the discussion happens. And if that didn't happen, then we just needed space to heal, then cool. You know, and these are all things that you have to sort out. And you have to have a logical mind to do that. You have to have a calm demeanor to do that, to sort through, man. And, you know, a lot of times we have this, I don't know why, I don't know, a lot of dudes that I know, and I feel like a lot of people that are like in the military or ex-military, they're a lot better at this than most regular guys. But dude, we keep a bunch of junk around. We're like hoarders, right? And majority of the time, when you're a hoarder in the 3D realm, like in physical life, you're a hoarder in your mind. You keep thoughts in there, memories of things and people, and we live in the past. You know what I'm saying? Like we still, oh, the glory days, man. When I was in high school, I was, you know, ranked blah blah blah, and we went to state and we did this. I love the glory days, but eventually you got to get that stuff out of there. If you want God to pour something in you into your head, if you want to grow in different areas, you have to let go of the past, man. Why stay stuck there? Why stay stuck in 99? Why stay stuck in 2005? Why stay stuck in 2010? You know, even me, like, oh man, well, 2013 was a good year. I made 160,000, and man, my barbershop was booming. I was traveling all over. I had all these blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're not there anymore. Keep moving, keep growing. And that's what I'm saying is the level of maturity, it's man, it takes a lot, bro. It takes so much, because we have to continuously, and I want to be clear about this right now, that when we're talking about pursuing God and living this life that God has for us, it's never ending. It'll never stop. You're never going to cross a finish line. You're never just going to have money in the bank and life is good. And you're never going to be where you're like, oh man, nothing's going to happen, because something's going to happen. Someone's going to get sick. Someone's going to die. Some natural disaster may come. You know, things may happen, dude. And there's so many things that can go wrong, right? And you can have money in the bank. You can have insurance. You can have all these, which is great. And that's the right thing to do, is to have everything put in place. But if you don't have God in your life, I don't care what you got in place. If God is going to bring you to your knees to save you and save your soul, he will bring you to your knees. And I don't care what you have put in place, man. All that stuff's going to be ran through in a heartbeat. And I'm just being honest. And that doesn't mean that God is unjust or that God doesn't love us. Because he loves us, he doesn't want us to be apart from him. And he's going to put you in situations to where you have a choice. Are you going to run to God or are you going to run from God? A lot of us are running from God. And we're accepting what the world's giving us. Hey, man, if I'm driving this nice car and I look good, I hit the weight room, I'm eating right, my teeth are straight, I got this, I got that. We got all these things that we check the box in. But internally, we're rotten. Internally, we're empty. Internally, we got nothing left to pour out. We're nothing but a shell. And yeah, we're going to attract all these things, all these people, opportunities, but all it's doing is feeding our ego, feeding our pride, and separating us that much more from God. That's why we have to come to a point in our life where maturity is very important to us and not reacting. That's what I'm telling you. I've talked about, emotional intelligence, and it's not just for the relationship. It's not just for your partner. It's for your own well-being. Like, learn how to keep your bills paid. Learn how to keep yourself in line. Learn how to keep your children in line. That doesn't mean that you have to physically beat them up or verbally abuse them. Like, no, sit down, get to their eye level and be like, hey, I love you, right? Yes. They don't know. You're molding their brain. You're molding a lot of things. And some stuff that you don't like that they do, you got to nip it in the butt, dude. And it takes time. It takes 10, 15, maybe 30 days, right? If they're doing something you don't like, you got to stop them right before they do it. And then eventually they're going to give in, and you're going to train them to, hey, we don't play with fire, or we don't do this, or we don't do that, or we don't push things like that. So you have to, and it takes time. That's what I'm saying. If you have like me, I have a 2-month-old baby. Eventually, at 1 year old, he's going to be able to walk around and move and do stuff. I'm going to have to keep an eye on him. His mom's going to have to keep an eye on him. We're going to have to do things in order for us to maintain him, and it takes time. That time is going to be taken away from work or from whatever, you're going to have to shuffle things around to make sure that you have time to raise a child. You're going to have to make time to build your relationship. You're going to have to make time to build your business. You're going to have to make time to maintain your vehicle, whatever it is, your dogs. And you only have 24 hours in the day, bro. And that's the problem, that we don't know how to maintain our time. So you have to have a level of maturity to understand and say, you know what? I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. I could only work out on these days. So I'm going to make sure that I work out really hard. And that workout is not going to be like a nonchalant workout. You're going to go in there and take care of business. You're going to be in and out 35 minutes. And that's the kind of man that you have to become. You have to, when you say yes, make your yes, yes. When you say no, I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you this at 43 years old, and I didn't have anyone to teach me that growing up. A lot of things came easy to me. A lot of things, relationships, friendships, they all came easy. And so I thought I just had it like that, man. And it was all vanity, bro. Like, I'm being honest. And so now, if I want to attract quality, if I want a quality lifestyle, and I don't mean like selling my house and living in this. I love my house. This is the house that God gave me. I have enough space for all my kids. I have enough space to do my thing, and I'm good here. Now if God gives me a house out in the country, which is what I want next, then great. If my kids can take over this house, then great. But the reality is that I love my home. I love where I'm at. I love that I can barbecue. I love that I have a basketball court right behind me. I love that I can park a vehicle here. I have my bus next door. I have plenty of space in the front of my house. It's about roughly 3,000 square feet. Bro, I love my house. But the thing is that maintaining this house is hard work. When water heater goes out, I got to fix that. AC goes out, I got to fix that. When the plumbing's messed up, I got to fix that. Roofing, anything. My roof had messed up on my garage. I had to call a friend, a roofer, and he came and fixed it. $500 just right there. I'm like, man. But the reality is that you have to maintain anything that you own. anything that you possess, like when I mean possess, like your dog, right? You own your dog, but I don't want to make it seem like he's a thing. Dogs are very wonderful creatures, and I love my dogs. But it's like you're responsible for this dog. If he gets sick, you got to take him to the vet. You got to make sure he's getting his shots done. You got to make sure that he's eating right. You got to make sure you're watching what he does. You got to make sure he's not jumping the fence. So that takes time. That takes training. That takes, a lot of discipline on your end, but also getting your priorities straight. And the only way you're gonna do all that is by getting mature, bro. And you gotta stop playing video games all day. You gotta stop just pushing things off. You gotta stop like trying to like, hey man, que será. Like whatever happens, happens, bro. It's all good. That's not a smart way of living life. It's not smart. Can you do it? Absolutely. You can do whatever you want. But I'm just telling you, if you want to experience the life that God has for you, God is a God of order. God is a God of structure. God is a God of stability. And anytime you're going through these things, you have to run to God. The strength that I need to get out of what I'm in right now, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, I will not be able to do this without God. Absolutely, positively, 100% not going to be able to do this without God. And I'm not running to people. I'm not running to Facebook. I'm not running to Instagram for answers. I'm running to God for answers. And that's building up that rapport with God. Like, all right, man, there's consistency here. There's prayer here. There's truth coming. And God is unraveling all these things that have been embedded in me throughout all these years of lying, stealing, cheating, all these hate, and having this like this complex of thinking that I'm better than other people because of my position or my this or my that, and I look down on people or whatever the case may be. Maybe I wasn't doing it like deliberately, or maybe subconsciously I was doing it, but that's how deep it gets when you're really trying to pursue God. It's an eye-opening experience, man. And now the same things that used to catch my eye, they don't catch my man. I don't care about how pretty a girl is anymore. I don't care. I don't. And I see vehicles. I used to love cars. I still care about cars. Like I want to have a nice car, but that's not a priority in my life. Why the hell do I want another car to pay insurance and have to oil changes and transmission and this and nah, bro. I'm good. I'm good with having right now driving my son's Excursion, right? And it's a funny story with that vehicle. But anyway, I'm driving that. I have a Denali that's parked at, that's my regular car. I need to go get the sticker done. But anyway, I have that vehicle. I sold all my nice cars. Everything. At one point I had like about 8 vehicles. I sold them all because of COVID, and I stacked up my money just so I could have a cushion. I didn't have barbers for like 6 months, bro. I didn't have any barbers. So I closed down the business and I said, all right, let me open up a school. So then I opened up a school and all the money that I had. So I burned through 6 months of overhead. Then I used the remaining money that I had, renewed some loans, got some line on credit lines, and did all this stuff, man, to survive. And then I opened my school. I had to buy new equipment. I had to move to a smaller shop. And I just kept losing money. And I was like, man, what is going on? And I was like, you know what? It's all good. I've been through this. I'm resilient. I'm a fighter. I'm going to find a way to get. I drove myself crazy, bro. And I got to the point where I had to reach out to a friend of mine. So we partnered up, created a new LLC, put another $15,000 into the business just to say, hey, man, this is the last, opportunity. We're going to give it one more shot. And if it doesn't work, well, we tried. And it was like, you're right. We tried. So then did it. Man, it didn't work. So I just felt like a failure. I felt like, why is this happening to me? I felt like a victim. Then I started detaching from this image. Like this JoeBarber person was no longer, I couldn't survive off of him anymore. So then I'm like, well, who am I going to survive off of? Like, what do I have to do? And God started showing me, like, I need you to feed yourself. I need you to hold yourself accountable. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And then I started clinging on to God, and I said, God, I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to be me. I want to be who you want me to be. No longer do I want to chase my own tail. No longer do I want to chase the things of the world. No longer do I want to puff myself up thinking that I'm something that I'm not. I don't want to base my reality on social media. I don't want to base my reality on the money that I have. I don't want to base my reality on nothing other than you right now. And that's what I've been doing. And God gave me a great woman, and that's what fast forwarded me to the position that I'm at now, because of her resilience, because of her efforts, because of her commitment to God. It opened my eyes to see like, yo, like I thought I was following God all these years and I wasn't. I wasn't all the way in. I wasn't submerged in his love and his mercy and his grace. I just would go pick up a cup. I just need this much, God, because I feel guilty, but thanks. That's all I need right now. And I was doing that for years. And then I got to a point where I was like, well, I'm gonna be half in, half out. Like, I'm gonna talk about the word on Facebook, but then behind the scenes, I'm gonna, chase women, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna, give into these, well, it's natural for a man to want this, and it's okay for me to spend money, and it's okay for me to be a little reckless. I'm, blah. No, dude, it's not. And that's the thing. When you get to a level of maturity where you start to separate the fake from the real, that's when you know you're on the right track. When you know you're no longer trying to buy all these shoes. And I'm not saying that shoes are bad, but I'm just saying if that's your hobby, great. But the reality is, are you taking care of the other 50 things first? Then you can get into your shoe game. You know what I mean? Are you living out your purpose for God? Are you surrendering to God? Are you giving to the community? Are you feeding your family spiritual discernment? Are you teaching your family what it is that the devil's trying to do and how he operates? Are you teaching them the truth about who God is and what God's doing in your life? Because I promise you, 9 out of 10, when you are pursuing God in that manner, you're not going to have time for shoes. And you know what? The cool thing is, you save a lot of money. Dude, I promise you, I probably have 100 pair of shoes that I just don't use. And I need to just give them away. And I've collected shoes my whole life since I was about 11 years old. I started off with the Reebok pumps, the D Browns. Then I went to, next shoe I got was the David Robinson pumps. Then I just fell in love with shoes and just bought Jordans and Nikes and Air Force Ones when those were pop. I had all Air Force Ones, every color. I bought all of them. And so I'm telling you, man, I've been there, done that. And now I'm cool just wearing some nice shoes. I have a couple of Travis Scott shoes, but I don't care if I wear the real kind or the bootleg. I don't care. I'm just wearing whatever I need to wear to do what I got to do. And if they're comfortable, I wear them. My son bought me some, I don't know what they are, some running shoes. And they're comfortable. They're like Adidas Boost, first time I've had them, but they're comfortable. So I don't care about the brand. I don't care about, are they, right now I have some Kyrie's on, confettis or whatever they're called. Or no, they're not. The multicolored confettis are the other ones that my son had like the highlighter color on them. But anyway, I'm just saying, man, I'm telling you a lot of this stuff because I've experienced it. I've gone through it. And I spent a lot of money on my barbershop. I've invested. When I had a Shelby, a GT 500, and bro, tires, Brembo brakes, upgraded the intake to the supercharger and did all this stuff to try to like adding, pulleys and this and that and upgrading the lights and brake lights. And dude, so much money. And then I sold the vehicle. I forgot how much I sold it. I think I sold it for like 47, something like that. I wasn't going to get all that money for all the extra stuff that I spent. So I had to take it all off and sell it, like it was a bit like, how it comes factory and all that, it's just like a lot of times that's what happens, man. And I'm just saying, be mindful of what you give your time to. Be mindful of what it is that you want to achieve in your life. Be mindful of the things that you possess, because I'm telling you, if you're not using it for the God's kingdom, it means nothing. That's just the reality. Apart from God, we're nothing. When you're living this life and it seems like your life is good and you got the money and you got blah, blah, blah. Oh, God's blessing. God's not blessing you. Let's be real, man. If God was blessing you and you're living your life in sin, does that even make sense? That's like God blessing a murderer. That's like God blessing a rapist. And like, oh, well, God blessed me because he allowed this to happen. It's like God allows a lot of things to happen because we have free will. But it's your choice to say, you know what, I'm going to use this money and this job that I have to glorify God. I'm going to help the homeless. I'm going to help the orphans. I'm going to help the widow. I'm going to help whoever it is, whatever God puts in your heart. I can't tell you what it is, but I'm just saying, like, that's what God wants to see. When you have fruit of knowing that, what would God do? What would Jesus do if he was here? Like, how would he work? How would he do things? Who would he be after? Who would be trying to help? Who would be trying to reach? You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. So I serve at my church, and that's my way of, like, you know, humbling myself and being like, you know what? Whatever, if you need me to clean the restroom, I'll clean the restroom. You need me to throw the trash, I'll throw the trash. You need me to help people, I'll help people. Whatever it is that the church needs me to do. And it's not because I'm doing it for the church. I'm doing it for God because Jesus loved the church. That's the thing that we have to understand. Jesus loved the church. So what does he tell Peter? He tells Peter before he gets crucified, feed my sheep. Take care of my sheep. And we're all his sheep. So men have to mature. Men have to stand up and say, you know what? I'll feed the sheep. Feed me. Teach me how to be a man. Teach me how to lead. Teach me how to separate the fake from the real. Teach me how to separate myself from this fake reality to God's reality, which is in the spiritual, because that's where the war is being fought. Teach me that, and I'll lead a flock. Give me some sheep, I'll lead them. That's what we need. We need people that are going to lead their family, that are going to lead people to Christ, and that are going to be 100% all the way in. And I'm telling you, there's pastors out there that are going to fall. They're going to fall because the devil doesn't want to see this. And if it's not the devil, it's your flesh, you know. So this is not an easy task. But if you surrender to God every day, even when you don't feel like it, even when your heart hurts, even when your head hurts, even when you're sick, even when you got it going good and life is good and you're chilling on a beach, you still surrender it to God, bro. You have to live that life all the way in. And I've used analogies with football, man. People will die for the Cowboys, but they won't die for God. People will fight for their favorite baseball, basketball team. That team doesn't care about you. That team is not going to show up to your birthday. They're not going to show up to your Christmas party. You know, I'm telling you, man, they're not going to do it like that because they don't know you like that. It's a business. Baseball is a business. Basketball is a business. The NFL is a business. Everything is a business. And we're willing to die. We're willing to build our schedules, parties, and all this stuff around basketball, football, baseball. And that's the part where I'm saying, like, you have that energy. You have that ability to focus in and say, man, I'm going to buy all the gear for my team. I'm going to have a room. I'm going to have a man cave. Turn that man cave into a temple where you can worship God with other men. How about that? People don't want to do that. It's too much, Joe. You're asking too much, dog. But yet, you want God to bless you. You want God to protect your whole family. You don't want no one to get sick with cancer. You don't want nobody to die. You don't want nothing to happen bad in your life. You just want to cruise through it. You want to live in paradise. Even when Adam was created, he was given a job as soon as he was created in paradise. When he was there, God told him, you're going to have to tend to this garden. You're going to have to work it. You're going to have to do these things. And you're going to have to keep up with it in order for it to sustain itself. It's not going to just be perfect. And no, it's going to grow. You're going to have to pull weeds. You're going to have to plant. You're going to have to get fruit. You're going to have to pull it. You're going to have to do all this work to be able to, I'm going to give you this, but you're going to have to maintain it. Western civilization introduced capitalism. And that's what's pulled us apart from God. 100%. Because now our value is based on our job, our position, our money. And it's not of our own doing for most part. That's the system that we've been brought up in. That's the world system. And that's why God said, whoever loves the world, he doesn't love. You love the world system because it's benefiting you right now. But if the world system is not benefiting you, you don't like it. But then it's either you're going to point to God or you're going to go underground and do things illegally. You're going to do things in a sinful way. I've experienced that. You know, you find schemes, right, to try to get over and be like, well, you know, gotta be like Robin Hood, steal from the rich and give to the poor. Stealing is stealing. And that's the thing, that the world will give us away. Then they put us in that position, so we do sell illegal things. We do illegal things. We find a way to make money, and then the system will come and just arrest us, put us in prison, and make us slaves. Tell me if I'm lying, bro. And that's why it's important. This all circles back to maturity. You have to mature as a man, and a woman needs to mature as a woman. I'm encouraging you right now. This is the message for you, to start giving up childish things. I challenge you to get rid of your social media. I challenge you to get rid of your Facebook, get rid of your Instagram, and get rid of TikTok or whatever, and just work on yourself. Connect with God. Learn scripture. Start studying, start reading. You could read other books, man. There's other books that give you. There's one that's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership or something like that. Man, that's another book that I have, an audiobook, and it's on you can find these books also on YouTube. There's an audiobook channel that has a lot of great books, and that's one of them. That's a great book to read. The Richest Man in Babylon, I think that's another great book to read. And it's stuff like that. You got to learn how to be a leader, because that's what you're doing in a family. You're leading your family. You're leading your relationship. You're leading your wife. You're leading your kids. And if you want to have that position at a job where you're leading other people, that's great. You're leading a church. That's great. These are all great qualities of a man. But right now, if you're swole and you got tattoos and you have a diesel truck with, a 10-inch lift, that makes you a man. You're tough. And if you have all those things, I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying, like, that's what it is. But the reality is, if you're not mature, if you're not stable mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, if you're not capable of sustaining yourself apart from anything else, and you're constantly relying on somebody else, that's a bad place to be, brother. I'm telling you, man. If you're still relying on your mom to pay your light bill, your phone bill, that's a bad place to be. If you cannot sustain yourself on your own, it's a bad place to be, brother. That's all I'm saying. So mature yourself. Make sure that you start working on things that are your weaknesses. Make sure, I'm telling you, distract yourself all you want, or stand up and say, you know what? These things are taking up way too much of my time and I'm going nowhere fast. I need to man up. And only God's going to teach you how to be a man. Why? Because he's the one that created you. You need his programs. You need his hardware. You need his software. And download all that into your spirit through the Bible. And if you don't know the Bible, get close to someone that does. That's why you want to be taught by somebody that's mature in the spirit, that knows the word, that's going to direct you, that's going to lead you right. Join a men's group, a small group, do something. There's help out there, man. You got to take these steps. No one's going to force you. No one's going to make you, but it's out there. So I encourage you to do that, man. So hopefully this message hit home for somebody. I got to get ready for the rest of my day. And I'm just grateful that God gave me the words to be able to share this message today, because this message is for me too, bro. I got to mature in areas in my life. And you're never going to stop maturing. There's always going to be something. Just like this house, there's always going to be something that I got to fix. Something on my car, something for my dog, something for my wife, something for my kids. There's always going to be something. And when there is something, that means you're still living. That means you're still alive. Let's get it. And you have to have that spirit. You know what I'm saying? And God will help you. God is your helper. The Holy Spirit is your helper. There's plenty of things that God will do for you. He will lay it out for you. He'll guide you to the right people. He'll surround you with the right people. You're not out here alone. You got a family in the body of Christ. And you got the best backup that you can ever have in God. But don't always listen to your heart, man. Your heart will deceive you. Your feelings will deceive you. Understand that, dude. You got to protect your heart, but your heart will deceive you. So that's why when we get pain and things happen and we don't want to forgive, that's what I'm telling you. Even me, I'm being honest. I don't know how forgiving I'm going to be until that moment comes. I could tell you, like, oh yeah, no, I'll forgive. But I'm lying because I don't know. And until I get into that moment, then I got to feel what God does for me. Is God going to mend my heart? Is God guiding me to accept this and be like, you know what? Forgive them just the way I forgave you. And he'll put a memory in my head, man. And that's why we go through things, because God will leave a memory. Remember when you did this? Remember when you did that to that person? Remember when you hurt this individual? Remember what, then you're like, oh yeah. Well, remember where I took you out of. I'm taking them out of that too, But you have to have a spirit of discernment, man. Like, you can't be played a fool either, But if that's not in someone's character and they did something wrong, I would say to give them another opportunity. And then if they keep doing it, then yeah, man, there's a problem. There's a pattern. There's something that's not being done. There's something that's underlying that needs to be taken care of. And if you can get that under control, and if not, then yeah, man, you're going to have to cut ties with that individual, that relationship, that friendship, that job, whatever it is, man. But don't automatically just try to cut the cord and be like, oh, man, starter went out, just trash this truck. Like, no, you could replace the starter. You know what I'm saying? But, all right, man, I'm going to let y'all go. And I hope that y'all have a great day. I hope that y'all guys figure things out in your life. I hope that you start re-examining yourself, what your ambitions are, what your desires are, and just organizing yourself, man, structuring your life to be a better man, to glorify God, not yourself, because there's nothing that you're going to gain in this world that is going to be worth your soul at all. All right, man, y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay faded.